Final hour overdrive continues. Brought to you by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score. Leafs Bruins tonight. Thursday nighter. Steelers at home against the Titans. And Raptors in Philly playing the Sixers tonight. We got a good one tonight, man. This is going to be a fun night. It's a couching night. And it's cold. You know, it's getting to that point. It's getting darker earlier.
I hate it, man.
Yeah.
Hate it.
You just got to embrace it, though, man. That means you set up shop and you watch sports all night. I mean, that's basically what it is.
Buddy, I do that if it's gorgeous and sunny out. It's not like I'm out in my backyard sitting around.
Yeah, I guess if you're going to do that anyway, you might as well get nice weather during the day. I'll give you that. But, you know, I'm going to talk to some people. I'm going to figure out a way to possibly hit the simulator throughout the winter.
Wow.
Shooting left-handed. I might commit to it. I really might commit to it.
I like it. I like the talk.
I might.
How about this? Every second Monday, I think there's a sim around our work. You and Grappler used to go there, didn't you?
Not around our work. No, I've never gone to a sim with the Grappler. But
I know that there's a sim around there somewhere.
Okay. Well, there's the sports dome, right? There's the dome right around the corner, which is awesome. Right, you can see right off the 401.
Every second Monday, we hit seeds. We hit seeds in the sim for an hour, and then we just go and do the show.
Okay. And you need me to commit to left-handed? Because I don't have those clubs anyway. Like, one way or the other, we'll figure it out, but I'm with you. I think I'm
not going if you're not going to do it left-handed.
Okay. And then, if we end up playing a course, why don't we, every fourth Monday, we play a round. You got to give me 1,000,000 strokes. But that's going to be wild. If I track you down hitting left-handed, man, you will never hear the end of that.
Buddy, if you put the right amount of time in it, listen to me. You're a 3 handicap by June 1st.
No.
See, you don't have the confidence.
I don't have the confidence to do that. And like June 1st, that's a stretch. I think June 1st, 2025, that's possible. But what if I'm in the Pro-Am again? You think I'm showing up to the Pro-Am, playing with Tommy Fleetwood or something, left-handed?
Imagine if Tommy Fleetwood noticed that you totally switched up the whole game, and he's like, hey, mate, you're left-handed now?
I know. After I said golf shot, after that great chip off 6 at Oakdale, he'll probably remember those type of details. It's possible. He's a TaylorMade guy. Probably follows TaylorMade online. He saw the post.
You tell lies on the show that you DM with Nick Taylor. Show him the swings and see what Nick thinks.
Sure, I will. I'll let Nick know. I will do that. I will give you a full breakdown, a full update as we move forward. Okay?
Do you think these pros, though? Do you think these pros want to look at people's swings?
Oh,
did you, when you were playing, could you imagine if somebody said, hey, what do you think of my buddy's, my son's or whatever wrist shot? You had a good shot. Can you, go through his mechanics? Like, would you do it? Like, I don't know.
No, just random people would be like, you should come see my son watch. Just who cares?
Yeah, probably not.
He's good in AA. He's not.
Well, it's one thing to go to the arena. It's another thing to look at your phone and watch a video. Like, I'm not saying anyone should feel obligated to do that, but it's not asking, like, anything arduous. You know what I mean? It's not
Send it to
overwhelming.
Nick. See what he says.
Sure. I'll find a way to track. Yeah. I'll send Nick Taylor a note. I'll send him a DM. Slide into his DMs with my left-handed swing, and we'll see what he has to say about it. Mike Rupp coming up here in a moment. Leafs Bruins tonight. Ilya Samsonov and net. I think that's the story. Like, I think it's how Samsonov plays tonight, just because of his recent history, his demeanor with the media, how forthright he's been about lacking confidence in his poor play. There's so many different layers to it, clearly. Matthews and Marner, how do they compensate for McCabe being out? Defensive breakdowns. They were flat a couple of nights ago. Boston's been great. They're undefeated so far this season. There's so many different storylines leading up to this game. And once it's over, then the dust will settle and we'll figure out exactly what ended up mattering the most in the end. But for me, I'm intrigued by Samsonov. And I would guess, Keefe is kind of closing his eyes and holding his breath, and he's just hoping it works out. Find a way to get an effort tonight.
You know what I'm intrigued by, which would help Samsonov, Hayes? What did you say? There's 3 defensemen out for the Bruins?
Yes.
3 defensemen out, so they should have control of the puck in the offensive zone. And for all the stats nerds, slot shots, cycle shots, whatever they keep track of, it should be dominant in favor of the Leafs. And if they don't do that tonight, they simply just didn't take advantage of the situation. because it's sitting right there,
Yep.
and it's no disrespect to the other guys that are putting on the NHL jersey, replacing the likes of McAvoy. But when you get 3 key guys out for your defense core, it should be a green light special offensively.
Yep.
Like, we should dominate puck possession in the offensive zone. That's what every nerd talks about now. So go do it, because it's sitting right there for you.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Like, in McAvoy and Grzelcyk out in particular, I mean, that's basically the top pair, right? Like, McAvoy's been a stud. You still have Lindholm. You still have really good players, and Boston will compensate for it, and they got good goaltending and good coaching. But you're right. Like, a guy like Matthews Matthews and Marner, who we're really talking about here, they have not pulled their weight. They should be going into Boston.
Their chops.
Yes, saying, play me 23 minutes tonight, and I'm going to absolutely dominate. And every single underlying stat should be obvious. The eye test should be obvious. Everything across the board should lean towards the Leafs being able to lean on the Bruins. But no one's been able to do it yet this year. And the Leafs are not exactly playing like a juggernaut. They didn't play great a couple of nights ago. So it's a big test for them. To chat about it, we're joined now by former NHLer. You see him, hear him on the NHL Network, joining us here on the Maple Toyota Hotline, back on OverDrive. Here's Mike Rupp. How you doing, Mike?
What's up, fellas? How are you?
We're doing well. We're teeing up this Leaf game tonight, and we've talked about every different angle from Toronto's side of things, but the Bruins 8-0-1 after that historical season last year. They lose Bergeron, lose Krejci. Like, how do you wrap your head around what they're doing down in Boston?
I don't know, man. You guys want to take a mulligan on having me on, because I've been wrong about this Bruins team for a couple years now. You know what? Last year I had them with the injuries. Remember, to date back last year, they started that season with the injuries they had. I'm like, hey, I think this is the year they take a step back. I don't have them making the playoffs. They had 135 freaking points. And now you look at this offseason and what they had to deal with. I mean, you tell me and show me a team in years that could deal with losing center 1 and 2 and still be okay. I said this year, all right, I learned my lesson last year. I'm not saying they're not making the playoffs, but they're going to be a wild card team this year. I think the door is open. I said I think that the Leafs will run away with that division, and the door is open for some other teams to get in the playoffs. And here we are again. And so that goes off what you guys are just speaking on, with 3 young, inexperienced defensemen coming into the lineup. You're sitting there thinking, let's exploit that. The game plan is, let's make it hard on them. Let's do this. Let's do that. Most teams, I would say almost every team in the NHL, would struggle immensely with that. I don't know if it's just me trying to reverse this on myself, but I just feel like if there's a team that can sustain and withstand, I should say that, it's Boston. Like, they're just, and my concern would be for Toronto is, you want to exploit it, you want to pay attention to it, and I heard what O-Dog said, bang on. I want my star players drooling at the fact that they're without Charlie McAvoy. Like, they're without, some guys are going to eat some big minutes and have those matchups. But at the same rate, let's not forget about some of the other things that they provide with that team, and make sure if you're a depth player and you get out there with those guys, you're trying to press them, force them. But at the same rate, let's just not make the only focus that, because this is a pretty good hockey team. And every time it looks like they're going to take a step back, they seem to look better. So I still think it's going to be a tough game on the Leafs.
Rupper, what have you made of the Maple Leafs so far this season?
I mean, they've been inconsistent, right? Like, I don't know, man. I hate making claims to teams this early, because I've really loved what Anaheim's doing, what the Coyotes, who I think are much better this year, are doing. But at the end of the day, like, still pretty early, right? I mean, we see some teams thriving in the first 20 games of the season, and the bottom falls out. So I think the big thing for the Leafs is establishing the net, and Joseph Falls looked really good. So is that a guy you can run on? I'd love to see him continuing to grow this year and continuing to, just develop and give them that kind of backbone they need back there. The stars are the stars. They're great. I think that you saw a game the other day against the LA Kings. The Kings might be the most diverse lineup as far as the lines 1 through 4 in the National Hockey League. I think you can tell that the Leafs don't have that at this point, and so that's going to be a work in progress. But I think that that's a division where I still think that I still think they win that division. I just think that that's a division that is kind of up for grabs, even though that start with Boston. And it's just the Leafs have been okay, but I expect them to be much better as the season goes on.
Rupper, we've had this conversation on this show several times. You're a guy who was not shy to drop in the gloves, being physical. Do you believe that intimidation still works in today's game? Much has been made about Ryan Reeves signing here, him being on that fourth line. There's not a lot of willing combatants for him night in and night out. Obviously, with Luch out tonight, he might not have a dance partner. But do you still believe in having a guy who can drop the gloves or be an intimidating force?
I mean, I think there's too many people in the hockey world now that take adding physicality like a Ryan Reeves or a player of that ilk, and they just say no one's afraid. It's not a deterrent. I mean, I got that all the time when people are like, Sidney Crosby got a concussion in the Winter Classic back in 2011, and on that team, I was on that team. Eric Goddard was on that team. Like, we had a tough Derek England. Like, we had a tough team, and they're like, I think they take it too serious. Like, these guys are still going to get hurt and get runs. Yeah, like this isn't the 70s. You know what I mean? Like, it's not. I think the onus is put too much on. Is it a deterrent? Are guys not going to run at the team? They're still going to have that stuff. I look at it more now in today's modern game, not what having a Ryan Reeves does to the opponent, but what it does to your team. And what I've seen everywhere Ryan Reeves goes, there's a swagger. I want my team to have a swagger, and I want my team to feel like. I think just to use this as my example, my first NHL game, I did not fight very much when I came into the league. My first NHL game, I was centering in New Jersey back in 2003. I was centering Turner Stevenson on my right and Jim McKenzie on my left. Those guys came up to me before the game started, and yes, it was a different time than now. They said, hey, kid, do whatever you want to do out here. We got you. And I went out that night, I scored 2 goals in that game, in my first NHL game. I think it was because these guys were like, we got you. And I know I had to play big, I had to play physical, I had to do these types of things. So my point being, when you have a Ryan Reeves or you have players that are the lightning rod players in certain moments of a season, I care more what it does for my team. I want those guys to have a little bit more of an edge. I want my team to be more confident in the physicality aspects of the game. Ryan Reeves walks around with no shirt on all the time. Look what he did in Minnesota. All those guys started doing interviews with no shirt on. You might think that sounds dumb, but that's like a galvanizing thing with the team. It's their thing. Guys going out after going to the media, talk to the media after a big win, and they're like, take the shirt off. The tarp's coming off. Come on. And you know what I mean? Like the camaraderie and that stuff, I think it's real, right? What does that mean down the stretch in the playoffs? Is Ryan Reeves going to be in the lineup? That depends how the fourth line's doing, right? But in the meantime, let's get the attitude. Let's play with an attitude. That's something I think that's lacked in Toronto. I still think there is a place for it.
Well, and he's well aware of it too, right, Mike? I mean, the guy, they gave him a 3-year deal. Clearly, the Leafs valued it greatly, and I'm sure the reason they gave him 3 years is because other teams were willing to give him 2. We had Bill Guerin on a couple of weeks ago, and Bill was like, we needed the guy. Like, we went and traded for him. We needed him, and we miss him. Like, we already miss him. And he's been in Vegas. He's been in Pittsburgh. He's jumped around the league, and he's not there to score goals. He's not there to supply offense. Like, we know who he is and what he is. But he's probably the poster boy now in this city. And you're familiar with how big it is, how much of a hockey market it is. But it'll be new school versus old school all year. Like, that'll be it. And Reeves will be the guy that everyone's going to talk about. And you've been in the room. Noodles, you've been in the room. Oh, you've been in the room. You guys can all attest to what Mike just said. Yet, unless they win, I think unfairly to Reeves, people are going to be like, well, it's because they made that decision, which is ludicrous. The guy plays like 7 minutes a night.
No, but to go off that even, you guys probably know the exact situation better than me, exactly who the team was they were playing. I don't remember that detail, but there was early on in the season here. I saw a clip, and it was Bertuzzi took the puck to the net, and he took an extra dig, kind of speared the goalie a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And it started a little bit of against Montreal, thank you. And it started a little bit of a melee. And I'll tell you what, Big 34 got in there at the drop of a hat. And we haven't always seen that. And I don't want him doing that. But when he does do that, Like, I get goosebumps talking about it now. When I saw superstars just be willing to get in there, I don't ever want to see him drop the gloves, ever. I don't want Connor McDavid ever dropping the gloves. But when Alex Pietrangelo, two-hand chopped Leon Draisaitl, who's the first one to get in there? Connor came flying in. And that's the stuff, like, we need to find another level to use Toronto Maple Leafs. That's what the another level is. Another level is not scoring more goals. We know these guys that can score goals. I mean, they might be one of the most talented teams in the league as far as offensively. But, the margin for error, margin between winning and losing is so thin. Like, let's get some of that other stuff. And not just Reeves. Like a Bertuzzi, a Domi, an attitude, a swagger. Going to stir it up once in a while. Create some emotion. I mean, the 82-game season, man, you got to manufacture emotion sometimes. And when you have a guy that's going to go out there and just kind of stir it up and play, or at the end of the game when you're going to do your interview saying take your shirt off because that's what we do, like that's going to create a buzz. It's going to create energy. I think that stuff helps change cultures, and that's the only thing I feel like lacking in Toronto. It's getting that next level, and the next level teams that win cups, they have those things.
We're chatting with Mike Rupp. Kyle Dubas leaving here, heading down to Pittsburgh. Obviously, that drove a lot of conversation up here. And now they start 3-6. I think they've lost 4 of their last 5. Sid's playing, Gino's playing, Carlson. They're all healthy. They're all playing, and it's just a mess. They're finding ways to lose. Are you starting to get concerned? Were you concerned anyway? Where are you at with the Penguins right now?
It's funny. I think I'm in a little different place than a lot of people. I think a lot of people in Pittsburgh, as far as fans and maybe some of the media, the sky's falling, and it's not great. I mean, it's not great. I mean, the way they're losing. So I've
they always
some of their games
start slow, Rupper, don't they? Like I don't know. They're getting older. It's tougher to climb out of it, but they always start like this.
Yeah, they always start like this. But here's the thing, and I'm watching the games. You know how we've all watched tons of hockey, and you watch a game, and the game ends, and you're like, how the hell did that team lose? Like, you know what I mean? Like, how did they lose? They controlled so many parts of that game. And that's the Penguins. So I'm sitting there like, I don't understand. Like, they did so many good things. They had a couple terrible games. Their game against St. Louis was awful. Jordan Binnington played great, but they everything's self-inflicted. Like, just terrible turnovers. They're always looking for that next goal. They weren't managing the game at all. That was a bad game. A lot of the other games, they've controlled great parts of the game. So then I'm like sitting there thinking to myself, I need to know if something else is there. This is the way I kind of use analytics. I don't let analytics drive me to my decision. I finish the game. I'm like, I don't understand how they lost that game. They controlled so many things. They got so many good looks. So I started looking, and they, even the power play, before that Anaheim game, they had 2 power play goals. They scored 2 in the Anaheim game, so they obviously got 4 in the season. Everyone's like, oh, well, you had Erik Karlsson. It's a mess, that power play. They are generating the best chances, grade A's, whatever term you want to use, of any power play in the National Hockey League. They're not scoring, right? Eventually, the shooting percentage of guys that are usually 12, 13, 14% career shooting percentages, that when they're operating at 3, 4%, eventually I think that's going to correct, right? They're getting those looks. I mean, like, oh, dog, we always got that as players. I mean, you were a goal scorer. Like, if you weren't getting chances, that's when you were concerned. When you're getting chances, you know it's coming, right? Like that, they're getting tons of looks on the power play. They're number 1 in that slot shots overall. Even with the 5-on-5 play, they're top 3 in pretty much every offensive category as far as generating offense, except for actually scoring goals. And we know that's what matters. So no excuses, but it's there. It's just a matter of figuring it out. But the one thing they've been doing very poorly is it's like they're in that mode right now where every mistake's in the back of their net. So it's the wrong time. They're not making sure the puck's going in all the way. At the wrong time, the perfect example is that Anaheim game with closing seconds on a 5-on-3. Making that pass, not being aware that guy's coming out of the box and it's a high-risk play, Mason McTavish breakaway goal, what happens? You lost the game. Bad penalties. And usually you can kind of sustain and get through that when you get the save. They're not really getting the saves at the right time either. So it's just a really weird time. It's got to change tomorrow night against San Jose, because I tell you what, if they lose that game, oh my gosh, I don't know what everyone's going to think in the pressure and the public opinion there. But this team has played really good hockey. They just haven't managed hockey games really good. And I think that's been their biggest problem.
If they get some goals, they got to have Jari stop the puck at the other end, because that will, breed confidence throughout the group that some guy, because they will always be an offensive team. Although there's a bunch of different things we talk about in the game as far as structure, but Sid, Gino, Carlson, Letang, they're going to want to score goals, and they've got to have the guy at the other end stop the puck, and that's going to be the biggest difference maker for them, because there's no way in hell you can win with goaltending that isn't adequate. End of story.
Yeah, but that's a perfect example of, and that's what I kind of like with. We see it a lot of times where, to go back, let's go back to even that analogy and the equation we were using with tough guys. I remember playing against the Montreal Canadiens, and they were a soft team. They go and they get George Laraque. So are they a soft team? Are they a tough team now? They have a tough guy on their team. I don't think that really overly changed, and that's why I think doing more than Ryan Reeves in Toronto has helped them, because they have guys throughout their lineup now that can do a little bit more stuff. But my point being is, let's not just focus on what we're not. Let's focus on what we are. I think Kyle Dubas has done an incredible job with that. The Pittsburgh Penguins' problems have been defending, not allowing certain chances on their goaltender, insulating their goalies, but their goalies haven't really come through over the last number of years, and health has been an issue with them. But they double down, and they're like, no, man, we're a goal-scoring team. We're going to keep scoring goals. And they dictate games up to this point. But still, so I like that part of it, that they're not trying to be someone they're not, but you got to be smart. And I feel like that's a little bit of an issue where the game's at nowadays in the NHL is you try to score your way out of problems instead of just, a perfect example. You got the Vancouver Canucks, what are they, 6-2-1? Mm-hmm. I can go back and rewatch, and I have some of those games for Vancouver. The Pittsburgh Penguins are playing a way better brand of hockey than the Vancouver Canucks. Vancouver's 6-2-1, and the Penguins are 6-1, or whatever it is. So it's just the unfair nature of the game sometimes. Well, you got to find a way. It's either going to be an individual effort that gets you over the top, like Vancouver's had with Besser's efforts, Elias Pettersson, Quinn Hughes, Demko, and Casey DeSmith have been very good. But on the same rate, sometimes you just don't get what you deserve, and it goes both ways. And so I think that this Penguins team it's not, when you're up 3-0, don't even think about that next goal. Right now, you got to win a hockey game. Play to win, not to score goals. And I see that across the board in this league right now. I think it's a little bit of an epidemic. The good teams the teams that know that and figure it out and have specialty players to manage games, they're the best teams in the league. And there's a big drop-off after those teams.
Rupper, you mentioned, Pittsburgh, some of the teams that were struggling and what they need to do. Any surprises for you? You mentioned earlier, Anaheim, Arizona. Is there teams that you've circled that you didn't think were going to be very good, and all of a sudden they've, pleasant surprise for you?
Yeah, I think those two, I kind of thought this Coyotes team was going to be a team in that Central Division. I think you've got Colorado and Dallas that are your staples. Those teams are legit. After that, I think it's kind of a mixed bag. Right now, you got Winnipeg in that third spot, and they very well could kind of finish in that third spot of the season. I think Minnesota's kind of going through it. I don't really know what Nashville is. St. Louis is kind of a very middling team. The Coyotes play hard. They played hard last year, too. I mean, they had some ugly games, don't get me wrong, but they competed, and I think that Andre Tourigny's kind of created a culture there where they work their butts off, and you're starting to see some talent in that developing there. They're a team that surprises me. I mean, I don't know if they're going to make the playoffs, but I expect them from last year. I think last year they had low 70 points, maybe 73 points, I'm guessing. But I expect them to be 20 points better this year. 93 points probably doesn't get you in the playoffs, but it gets you in the conversation. That's a team I like watching. Anaheim's been an awesome story with their 5 in a row, 4 on the road, and obviously won a big one against the Coyotes yesterday. But they're finding ways. They're not really controlling a lot of parts of games, but they're getting, Mason McTavish is a stud. That Minchikov is unbelievable on the back end, and they've got some weapons there. I just think over the course of 82, they're going to miss the playoffs by 20 points. But they're showing me something right now, and I think that's the first step. It's more than what they showed last year.
He is former NHLer. You see him and hear him on the NHL Network, Mike Rupp. Always appreciate the insight and the time, Mike. We'll do it again down the road.
All right, thanks, fellas. Enjoy.
Got it. Mike Rupp joining us here on the Maple Toyota Hotline. Build your next dream Toyota at Maple Toyota and check out Maple Toyota's pre-owned inventory. Arriving daily, it's time to Toyota. Visit mapletoyota.com. Yeah, you look at that Pacific Division. Like, the difference between Vegas and San Jose has got to be the largest gap in pro sports.
Dude,
right now.
San Jose is really
horrendous. Horrendous.
Well, they're trying to be.
I know.
They're
but
achieving it.
That's tough, man. Like, you come to the rink and know you're losing every single night. Like, they're not even trying to fake it, man. There is no dignified tank with those Sharks.
No.
0-8?
They've scored 9 goals in 9 games.
I'll tell you what,
9
man.
goals.
Those people that are the great fans that go to that Shark Tank, they have got to be like, what is going on here? Because it's like they showed up 30 years ago and were like good every year.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how much adversity they've been through, but they're getting it now.
Well, that's it, right? That was always the age-old question. Do you want to just keep getting to the dance, get to the dance, get to the dance, and understand you're not going to win, but you're there every year, like with Thornton and Marlowe and all those. Like, they were 105, 110 points every single year. Like, you knew it was going to be a fun ride. They'd make the playoffs. They made the Cup final that one year and lost. But this is a bottoming out. This is Mike Greer's taken over and understood it had to happen. And I don't think it's hyperbole to suggest like it's one of the truly worst starts in NHL history. Like one of the worst 9-game runs in NHL history. And no one believes it's going to change.
No, they're getting a pissed-off Pens team tonight.
Yeah. And
they'll lose 7-0.
Like, they're 0-8-1. Vegas is 9-0-1. Vegas is 18 points up on San Jose. It's November 2nd.
10 games in. 10 games in.
Insanity. Crazy.
Hazy, let's play. Can we play Rick Wildy before we go to break?
Yeah, do you want to play? It's Wildy. Get it right. He deserves the respect of having his name pronounced properly.
World Series, as a tribute to the World Series, Rick Wildy handing out the hardware.
Thanks. Madison, congratulations. As the official sponsor, the official Major League Baseball, Chevrolet is proud to participate in this prestigious award. Along with our dealers, we are also extremely honored to give back to this sport by supporting baseball in cities and towns across this nation. At Chevrolet, we have also been proud of the latest and greatest technology in our truck lineup, which is the all-new 2015 Chevy Colorado.
Right,
it combines class-winning and leading, technology and stuff with Wi-Fi powered by OnStar. Right on screen to recognize your performance in this 2014 World Series. I proudly present to you your very own set of keys to a brand new 2015 Chevy Colorado. Congratulations, Ben.
Just a bare handshake, too, with the arm grab. Yeah. Hey, Madison, how about that's professionalism right there.
We're ending the show with that. We're signing off with that, and that's the end of the show.
It's a tradition on this show. The day after the World Series is handed out, Rick Wildy gets played.
Yeah.
Like that technology and stuff. He's got a script. He goes off script for the most important details. Like, you got to
technology and stuff.
Technology
imagine,
and stuff,
the higher-ups who had all of this new technology, and he described it as
technology and stuff.
Like,
they must have been passing out watching that.
It's got to be nauseating. Like, the CEO of Chevy is like, this is our moment. We've paid like $15 million
we have
to be there.
massaging chairs in the truck, and this guy describes it as
technology and stuff.
A complete new reveal. Here's the keys, a handshake, and Rick is moon dancing his way out of that room. Yeah. Man, just about halfway in, when he really had to start selling, he got so clammy. He got really clammy. Rick Wildy. Yeah, that'll be played again. That's being played again in about 25 minutes. Yeah, 100%. There's no question.
Technology and stuff.
It's so good. It's so good. Canada's largest demo club sale is back at Golf Town. To celebrate, listen to First Up on OverDrive tomorrow for your chance to win a $500 Golf Town gift card. Plus, follow us on Instagram at TSN1050 for another chance to win. Golf Town's demo club sale is your chance to save up to 40% on gently used demo clubs from top brands like TaylorMade, Ping, Callaway, Cobra, Mizuno, and more. Get early online access right now at golftown.com. I sound like Rick Wilde. Then on Saturday, the event moves in-store only at all locations. Details at golftown.com and stuff. All right.
Technology and stuff.
Get to our best bets still to come. We got the 10-game mark here for the Leafs tonight. Feels like a barrier, right? Maybe we'll look around the league and see what's more likely to happen as we move forward. We'll do that next. All right, we'll get to our best bets brought to you by FanDuel. Hayes and Company with the pick tonight in the Thursday Nighter. We're on the Steelers. -3 against the Titans. Great week in the NFL, though. The Sunday morning game is Chiefs-Dolphins. You got Seahawks-Ravens. You got Eagles-Cowboys. And the Sunday Nighter is Bengals-Bills. Like, this is what we're talking about, right? This is where you can't compete with the NFL, right? And the World Series is out of the way, and it didn't come close to competing. The NBA is just getting going. The NHL is just getting going. Golf's out of the way, although Tiger's thing is starting up soon. See, John Rahm pulled the chute. He's out of that Tiger-Rory simulated golf league.
It sounds kind of corny, I'm not going to lie. Tiger or no Tiger, I don't even know what we're getting into here.
Yeah.
A simulator league?
I know. It's like, I think the thing is, that's what the world is going in that direction. Like, sim golf is really getting popular. It is getting very popular. They're popping up all over the place.
I get it, but to sit and watch people do it, I just don't know.
I know. It's not far off watching, people play video games, but that's what people are watching, that stuff on TikTok, YouTube, etc.
Esports.
Yeah. And if it's Tiger, like, this is going to challenge the theory. If you put Tiger Woods on TV, people will watch.
Okay, but he's got one leg, and how much longer can he possibly even swing a club? So where's it going to be when he walks away from it?
I don't know. Obviously, they're banking on McIlroy. They were banking on John Rahm, and he pulled the chute. It sounds like it's more of a scheduling thing, and he just doesn't want to commit, and not about him like going to live golf, although a lot of people were wondering if that's what was about to happen, which would be pretty wild. Like, if John Rahm, after all this, said, you know what, I will go to live. Didn't end up happening, but yeah, I don't know. I'm with you. I think you're going to see a bunch of guys who are going to be afraid to really say anything. They'll be mic'd up. It will be very G-rated, corny stuff. And they're trying to force it. Like, did you see Colin Morikawa's video that went viral yesterday? You see that?
No, I did not.
Oh, you got to see it. No. It's absolutely cringeworthy stuff. Well,
no.
He gets a FaceTime from, I don't know if it was Tiger or Rory or something, because they've got teams. It's kind of like Live in that capacity. And he's pretending as if he was surprised he got the call and that it was so amazing. And he's like, yeah, I got the Ryder Cup call earlier. This might be better. Like, I can't believe it. It's like, yeah, okay, pal. The Sim Golf League is more rejuvenate, more of a kind of pick-me-up than getting a Ryder Cup call for a captain's pick. Like, get serious.
I'll know after half an hour how much I'm going to watch. I mean, we're junkies, Hayes. We're probably going to watch it anyway, but if it's god-awful, I can't see myself sticking around for too long.
Well, I'm intrigued by it. Like, I am intrigued. And again, Tiger, like, their PGA Tour is playing this week at Tiger's new course. I don't know where it is, in Mexico or something.
Cabo.
Is it in Cabo? So, and you can tell how much respect they have for him because none of the players said anything negative. Like, everything when asked, and that's the biggest story, is what do you think of Tiger's course? Dude, not how are you playing? Do you think you can win? What do you think of Tiger as a course designer?
Even if they hated it, they would go on TV and say it's probably one of the best courses I've ever played.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I'm saying. They're like, it's really wide fairways, and they're like, yeah, it's like Tiger. Tiger likes this, and Tiger would like that. And it's like, we get it. Tiger, he designed the course. Of course, you're going to pump his tires. He deserves that level of respect. But no one's saying a peep about Tiger's course, or about Tiger for that matter, right? And
I just think it's weird. You know, why would you want to watch a guy swing a club in basically simulate like a garage? You know, it's just you'd get tired of it. Like I wouldn't want to watch Wayne Gretzky play a video game of hockey.
Yeah, in his basement with roller skates on. Like, no thanks.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's an extreme example. There is a scoring system here, and, you know, I don't know. I'm going to check it. I don't even know where it's being televised. If it's online, I'm not quite sure. But it's coming, and this is the time to launch it because the PGA Tour, it's gone, right? Like, it basically returns in the new year when they get to Kapalua or when Charlie Woods shows up at the PNC down in Orlando. Like, that's basically it. All right, we'll come back with our best bets brought to you by FanDuel. Get back to Leafs Bruins tonight. Raptors in Philly taking on the Sixers tonight. And the Thursday nighter, we'll tee that up as well. Pittsburgh at home. My man, Kenny Pickett. And the Steelers favored at home against Tennessee. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on the TSN app. All right, Leafs Bruins tonight. You can hear it right here on TSN Radio. Jimmy Ralph, Joe Bowen with the call. It's going to be a good one. It's going to be a very good one. I'm looking forward to tonight because the Bruins are off to a great start. The Bruins are down a few defensemen, and the Leafs are coming off what I think we'd all argue was their flattest performance of the season against LA a couple of nights ago.
I would just like a big boy game. I would like to come on here tomorrow and say, you know what? They either won the game and they were awesome. It was an awesome. I just want a good game.
Yes.
I'm tired of kind of a sleepy one where it's like maybe a goal scored there. I just want a good up-tempo hockey game and say best team won. I think everybody can live with that.
Yep.
It's just get it together and play a good game against a good team.
Yeah.
Shouldn't be tough to motivate yourself.
No, that's right. And those were the expectations coming in, right? We had Mike Rupp on last, half an hour ago, and he said he thought the Leafs would run away with the division. They were prohibitive favorites to do that. Boston clearly doesn't care what Mike Rupp thinks or FanDuel or us on Overdrive. They've shown up just like they did a year ago and continue to chug forward. But it's on the Leafs to perform to their expectation, right? Yes, when you lose games, that's when you start poking holes. Then you look at depth. Then you look at Klingberg, Liljegren. What's up with Samsonov? When you start winning games, everything flips in the sports world. All of a sudden you realize, okay, they have star power. They have guys that can chip in differently. They've got a veteran team. They're one of the oldest teams in the league, right? Like they should not be overwhelmed by any situation. And I think if you come off a bad loss a couple of nights ago, you're up against a rival who's been the best team in the league. This is more about the Leafs showing their true colors. And it doesn't have to be 2 points, but it has to be a show-up game. You have to show up and perform tonight. You got to play well.
Yeah, you got to rise to your competition, and that's what they're capable of doing. But we've seen it before, right? We've said it before. It doesn't matter who they're playing. They either play down, they play up, or whatever. But, establish your game plan. Establish some consistency within your game, and let the Bruins deal with it. That's what I would try and do on the road.
Yep.
The coach, everyone, I don't want to come on here tomorrow and say, why couldn't they get the puck in and have some offensive zone pressure? Like, you got some D-man out, just try to have that strong cycle game. And if they don't, it's a failure. It's a game plan failure, an execution failure. Like, get it in there and get cooking. There's no excuse for it not to happen. No discredit to guys putting NHL jerseys on that are replacing McAvoy and whoever else. But let's see some offensive zone time.
Yes. Yeah. Tonight, you need to lean on this team. Like the Bruins.
Lean on them.
Yeah. And yet, the Bruins are aware of that. Montgomery's going to have a game plan for trying to compensate. And this is, again, pumping the tires of the Bruins, but you would expect their forwards probably chip in that much more defensively tonight.
Dude, if Austin Matthews is the player that everyone thinks he is, sometimes you grab the opposition coaches and grab his game plan and you crumple it up and you throw it in the garbage and say, not working tonight, sir. Sorry.
Yeah.
Well,
that's
fair.
That's it.
You
He's
think
more
Eric
than capable of
Lindros,
doing
the
that.
game planning against Eric Lindros or Peter Forsberg, he would give that coach the bird and say, not tonight, not on my watch. No thanks.
But you're right, and they're going to have to combat Pasternak and Marchand and guys on the other side. What I'm more looking for, too, is I talked about at the start of the season, like I just expected more from Domi. I expected more farther down in the lineup like that. You can't have – okay, you're right. I want Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner, the guys that get paid a lot of money, to be impactful so that maybe the other guys don't have to be, but they're allowed to be. They're allowed to, chip in goals. They're allowed to be difference makers because we see it every night on other teams. Why can't they do that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, that's it, right? Maybe it's not the chicken or the egg. Maybe it's the chicken and the egg. Big boys show up, they do what they're supposed to do, and then when the third and fourth line get out there, they contribute as well.
I want to start the show tomorrow saying they crumpled up Jimmy's game plan.
Jimmy Montgomery, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah. Well,
they crumpled up Monty's game plan.
And they're more than capable of doing that. Specific players are. Not everyone in the lineup is going to do that, but Montgomery's not game planning for Noah Gregor tonight, or Timothy Liljegren or whatever. It's, 34-16. I think it starts for the Leafs. If you walk out of there with 2 points, you're happy. If you walk out of there with 2 points because Matthews, Marner, and Samsonov all showed up, then you're really talking, okay, that's what was necessary. That had to happen. Right. The big boys up front have not played well. Marner in particular has not had an A game, has not had anywhere close to an A game. And, Matthews had the hat tricks early on, which exclude him from this conversation. But since then, it's been quiet. And Samsonov has struggled. He has struggled, So the last time we saw him, he got pulled on 3 goals on 4 shots. So, although I guess he started in Nashville.
No, he had the Nashville
game where he lost in overtime. Yes, but hasn't won in a while.
Yeah. He's got to be better, though. Honestly, Brian, I think he's got to be a guy. You circled it at the start of the show, said, I want to see what Samsonov's got. That's the storyline. And I believe he is, because that's still a fight in net. I know people want to just hand the keys to Joseph Woll. Kid's a rookie, and I don't know if he's going to be able to play 60 games this year. That's not what they're expecting from him. So they're expecting 45 to 50 games from Samsonov. He's got to play the way he's capable of doing, especially in a tough building on the road. Boston plays tough at home.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Boston's going to show up and play. It'd be a shock if they were flat tonight. They've been flat in a year. You expect they're going to fight. They're going to poke and prod. They're going to try to protect home ice. It's on the Leafs to push back and take over the game. Today's best bets powered by FanDuel. Same game parlays this NFL include passing touchdowns and receptions on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. Please play responsibly. 19 plus. Physically located in Ontario. I'm on Pittsburgh money line tonight. Derrick Henry under 12.5 total receiving yards, and George Pickens over 53.5 receiving yards. My main man, Kenny Pickett, he gets the ball to George Pickens a ton tonight. There's your SGP paying about plus 420. Today's best bets powered by FanDuel. Same game parlays this NFL season. Again, now include passing touchdowns and receptions on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. Please play responsibly. 19 plus. Physically located in Ontario. All right, Ralphie and Bones here coming up. The Tap Man, Frankie C. Full night of hockey here on TSN Radio. Leafs, Bruins. You got the Raptors in action down in Philly. We'll be breaking that down tomorrow. You got the Thursday nighter against Steelers, Titans tonight.
Old Kenny's fingers on that cold field with that cold football.
They'll shrink even more. I am a little bit concerned about that.
He won't be able to grip that thing.
He needs some isotoners. Get him some isotoners. All right, thanks to everyone behind the scenes. We appreciate all the help. As always, everyone for tuning in today. Radio, TV, podcast, web. We appreciate that. We're out of here. Enjoy your evenings. Enjoy the games tonight. We're back tomorrow at
4 p.m.
We'll chat then.